Hello and welcome back to the top 85 games for the BBC Micro Video Countdown series. In at number 45, it's Hopper. This was released by Acornsoft in 1983 and it was developed by Neil Raine. Now, followers of this series will have already seen a previous video which came in at number 77. That was Frogger from Superior Software, developed by John Dyson, and we went through the history there of the Frogger game, which was originally developed by Konami. But in my opinion, Hopper is the best of the Beeb variants that came out for the BBC Micro and the Acorn Electron. I think it gets the Frogger recipe just right. It adds in a few little extras like some jingly background music, as we'll see, and it's really, really fast. So definitely my favourite when it comes to the Frogger style games. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, here we go. Hopper, what a beautiful piece of splash screen art that is. Now you'll notice the Superior Software label there on the splash screen alongside Acornsoft. That's a reflection of the fact that quite a few Acornsoft games did get re-released by Superior Software under the famous Play It Again Sam compilation series. But here we are, these are the instructions for Hopper. As with any Frogger style game, fairly straightforward stuff. Left, right, backwards or forwards, those are your options. Now, you'll instantly hear there, we've got some background music, which is always a treat for a BBC Micro game. See the memory limits being what they were for the Beeb. You didn't always get background music in addition to the sound effects. So whenever that shows up, I always feel that that's an extra treat. But yes, I mean, first impressions of this game for those that haven't played it before. Oh dear. Well, I was hoping to save my first death to comment on the little sound effect there, but you already heard it. That nice little splat. But yes, first impressions of the game are really, really good. I mean, look how zippy it is. If you think back to the video we did on Frogger, where we saw the sort of slightly sluggish frog, if I'm honest. By comparison, Hopper is just so fast. Grab ourselves a little fly there. Now we're only on level 1 at the moment, so I can trust these turtles not to suddenly disappear from underneath me. This is a different scenario once we get to the next sheet, I think. Oh yeah, now we've got a snake on the far riverbank as well. Oh, and there's our friendly crocodile, or not so friendly, I should say. Oh, and there's the turtles disappearing on cue. So yes, the difficulty quickly ratchets up. Well, not that I need the difficulty to ratchet up, given that I just throw myself into the river. But yes, it's definitely, you can see that. Oh no, dear, oh dear. Made a right old hash of that. Okay, let's try that again. Yes, that's the once again my limitations of multitasking, of providing commentary at the same time as playing a game that does require a fair amount of concentration to get spot on. Now, I do like that sound effect for grabbing a fly off the log there, sort of a little high pitched doo-doo. It's pretty nice touch. Always been a fan of the sort of illustrations of the vehicles on the road. Actually, I think they're rather fun. Also, I quite like the sort of slightly bizarre notion that you've got Formula One racing cars just zooming along, in addition to what appears to be combine harvesters, lorries. Yeah, it's quite nice to have a sort of little hint of Formula One there on the road. Don't think you'd really get that in reality on any UK motorway. But yes, I mean, obviously, as we'll have seen in the Frogger game, obviously the principle of the game is fairly straightforward in terms of what you need to do, getting your hopper or frog safely across. But of course, the game doesn't stop there, because once you manage that, you just go straight into the next round. At which point, oh no. No excuse for that, really. Yes, at which point, obviously, as you can see, the number of vehicles on the road increases. You've got that snake there, and you've also got the crafty croc. You really have to be careful of that one. If you land on top of him... Oh no. So I should probably say that at this point that obviously one of the reasons for bringing Hopper in this late in the series by comparison to Frogger, even though they are obviously very similar games in terms of the sort of what you're supposed to do, it's because of the speed. As I think I mentioned at the time with Frogger, it's a very sluggish kind of game, definitely by comparison to this. But the speed is its own sort of, well, it's my probably my worst enemy in a funny sense, because you you just have to be careful not to press the forwards key too aggressively, otherwise you end up hurling yourself into a vehicle or into the road, as I seem to be doing quite spectacularly here. All right, let's see if we can do a little bit better. It's an interesting choice of jingles. We've got the slightly sort of upbeat one that we had at the beginning. Let's grab that. And now we've got it replaced with, time limit. There we go. Whew, that was close. Yes, you replace with green sleeves as the game sheet progresses. Probably a little bit of a sign that you need to get a move on. Yes, I didn't allude to that timer down in the corner there, but that's definitely part of the challenge. You know, you can't spend too much time idling around. You do need to make sure you get your frog into the holes before that timer runs out, and it's a timer for the. I think it's a timer for. Is it a timer for the whole level, or is it just for this individual run? Let's see what happens. No, it is just for the individual run, so okay, it's slightly more generous than I was thinking it might have been. Right. Now, oh dear, I've run out of turtles there. Okay, let's see if we can get... Oh no! Come on! There we go. We made it. There you go, level 3, and I've got 3 lives. Gosh. Right. Okay, now it's really getting pretty fast. Now you can see the turtles on the near side bank are starting to play tricks on me as well. So, need to be extra careful, extra vigilant, sorry. Yes, that's when the timer really does start to come into its own, because you can't mess around. You've got, I feel like that log was going at some speed as well. Everything's about speed in this game. Yeah, look, those logs really do zoom along there. Now, is he going to get out of my way in time? Oh, I could have probably made that, but anyway, let's play it safe. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here. Now, you can actually land on the crocodile when all that's visible is his snout. Obviously, you do run the risk of him turning into a crocodile sort of just as you jump. But if you time it correctly, you can get away with a... Oh no, I ran into the snake! Oh dear. I wasn't paying attention. Do you know what? I don't think I even realised the snake was there. Oh no. Oh no. Oh dear. Oh dear, that wasn't so good, was it? Right. Well, we've only got to get one more frog across to clear this level. But it is getting increasingly difficult. Right, here we go. Now, as long as the croc doesn't... There we go. Managed to get in there before he opened his jaws. The jaws of defeat, usually. Wow, now, this is... Goodness, the racing cars give you no... Look, there's only one little gap there that you can really get through. Gosh, that really is quite... Ooh. Oh, wow. This is... Yeah, I think I'm going to lose most of my lives on the timer here because... Oh dear, nope, I spoke too soon. Just whacked into a car instead. Yeah, that's really challenging. Oh, I see, if you try and keep pace with those racing cars, that little hopper is... he's not too bad. Neither's that score, if I say so myself. That's probably one of my best scores on the game, certainly in the last last few months. Don't often see that on these videos. Usually I'd get a fairly naff score because I'm spending too much time chatting, but there you go, that wasn't too bad at all. So yes, I hope that you feel the same way about Hopper as I do. I mean, it's one of those obviously arcade classics that people will have played variations of the Frogger game on all sorts of platforms, you know, from the Atari to the Commodore to obviously the Beeb and the Spectrum, you know, pretty much every every home computer or home microcomputer back in the 80s had its own version, probably several versions in fact, of Frogger type games. But yeah, this one for the Beeb. I mean, I think it actually holds its own against other platforms. It's not just the best in terms of what the Beeb had to offer for Frogger games. I think this one is, you know, really good up against the likes of you know, the Commodore and so on. You tend to find with Commodore games that, you know, where they win over their fans a lot is that it's got good sound on the Commodore because of the additional hardware to support it and memory and so on. That's usually, unfortunately, where the Beeb and the Electron can be let down in some of their arcade clones because, yeah, it doesn't have quite enough firepower to support both gameplay and background music. Of course, the background music for Hopper probably has its oh dear, this isn't going out very well, is it? Ooh. Yes, I was going to say the background music is kind of, some people like it, some people don't. I think when you hear the same jingle over and over and over again, it probably does get a little bit tiresome. But I think Hopper does a good job of, oh dear, those turtles let me down. I think Hopper does a good job of keeping a little bit of variety there. You know, you've got this opening song. I can't remember what this one's called. But the second one, Green Sleeves, obviously is fairly well known. There's another sort of nice little detail about 80s computer games in general is that original score was something that you know, unless you as the games programmer were particularly musical, you didn't generally design your own musical scores. What you would tend to do is find you know, popular pieces of music that hopefully weren't copyrighted, like things like Green Sleeves, for example, and then you could just literally program them in. You know, if you knew the coding for programming the sound commands, whether in BASIC or whether in BASIC or in assembly, you could basically just program in the sound. You know, no need to record it with a professional orchestra or anything like that. It was just a case of coding in the notes and away you go. Which meant that, you know, if you were a solo games programmer and you didn't have, you know, a friend or colleague who was good at, you know, the sound programming, then you could, yeah, you could just do it yourself really, and take a popular tune and use it as your own game background music. You see it quite a lot in BBC Micro games. You know, you'll hear a tune and think, oh, I recognise that. You know, things like The Entertainer and Green Sleeves here, and yeah, all sorts of sort of popular little ditties. Nursery rhymes sometimes as well. Actually, you see those crop up in the game background music on occasion. It's quite nice, really. I mean, it's a nice little detail. A simpler time, perhaps I should say. I mean, obviously, I think there are some excellent game scores out there these days. You know, some really original stuff, which is excellent. You know, no question about it. But I have quite a soft spot for the independent games programmer who is able to literally craft the entire game all on their own, you know, from graphics to sound and everything in between. And I think having that facility to just take a piece of music that already existed, as I say, preferably without any sort of copyright infringements, and just program it in. Yeah, it's great stuff. See, there were limitations on what you could do with the Beeb sound chip. It didn't have a sort of multi sort of chord, you know, abilities that some of the rival systems had at the time. I think the more of the sort of ZX Spectrum videos that I've seen on YouTube from people like Nick Jenkin make me think that yes, I think even the Spectrum probably had a better sound abilities perhaps than the BBC Micro. Hopefully that won't be heresy to too many people watching this video. But you see, the Beeb was essentially designed to be, you know, as a good system across all of the various components. So, you know, it had a good enough sound chip, a good enough graphics abilities and different modes of graphic. And obviously, you know, just enough on the memory front to be able to support some really excellent programs and games. But yes, it didn't specialize in any one of them, I think it's probably fair to say. So I think we'll give this one more playthrough because I am enjoying it, to be honest. I do love playing Hopper, and yes, we haven't had a go at the Hopper challenge, so maybe we should try doing that in the last few minutes. So it has been said that it is possible, if you line your frog up on the pavement here, that if you time it just right, you can run the entire gauntlet end to end. Oh dear, well I've left that too long, so let's try that again. You you should be able to just get from one side to the other in a single in a single leap. I don't think that I've ever done that, or if I have, I may have literally done it once by fluke without even trying. So let's see if we can. Well, I doubt we're going to do it, but no. See, I'm I can already see before I get to the river that it's not going to happen. So let's see if we can. It's those racing cars in between, I tell you, those are the ones that get you. maybe if we try over here, so let's aim for that one, and if we get, no, see the racing cars, they ruin it. I'm not sure if I believe that anyone's ever done it, you know. I think it might be an urban legend that you can actually get from one side to the other in a single sweep, or single leap, I should say, single hop, one hop. That's a network protocol thing, isn't it? One hop. Okay, let's go. Oh no. Okay, well we've got one life left, so let's see whether or not we can do the challenge. Oh my goodness! I actually did it. That was not contrived. I've not been holding back my skills to make that possible, but I am quite impressed that I managed to do it. So there you go. We proved in the last few seconds of the video that it is possible to get your frog all the way across in a single leap. Doesn't necessarily get you the best score if that's all you spend your time doing, but it is a fun challenge nevertheless. So do give it a go if you've not tried doing that yourself. Anyway, that was Hopper. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I definitely enjoyed playing it, as you probably could tell. And yeah, it's always good to dust it off and give it a play. So yep, if you're a fan of Frogger games and you haven't played Hopper before, do look it up because, as I say, I think it's the best that there is for the Beeb and perhaps any console. So for now, I'm going to say goodbye, and I hope you join me for the next time.